2018 sur le bon pied. Nous venons tout juste de conclure un sommet très productif ici à Davos, durant lequel nous avons réalisé des progrès importants pour les Canadiens et pour leurs familles. Ce voyage était aussi une bonne opportunité pour notre équipe de travailler avec nos partenaires internationaux, ainsi qu'avec des représentants du milieu des affaires, en vue d'aborder certains enjeux les plus urgents auxquels notre monde fait face. This year's theme, Creating a Shared Future in a Fractured World, prompted us to take a hard look at the current state of our world and launched an important discussion on the best way forward. On the first day of the conference, I was proud to share Canada's vision of this shared future and highlight some of the steps we must take if we are to realize our ambition. In my speech, I stressed the importance of corporate responsibility at a time when economic uncertainty and growing inequality weighs heavily on workers and their families. Many employers continue to put the pursuit of profit before the well-being of their employees, and we simply cannot afford to let this line of thinking continue to dictate corporate behavior. Economic growth and strong bottom lines must generate real benefits for citizens and their communities. There's no way around it. As I spoke of the widening gaps between rich and poor, I emphasized that these gaps are even greater between women and men. The shared future Canadians believe in is a future where women everywhere are welcomed, supported, empowered, heard, and believed. It is not only the right thing to do, but the smart thing to do. And it's not just on corporations to do better. Governments also have a key role to play in driving change. This is something that featured quite prominently during a roundtable on the future of NAFTA. 2 years ago, here at Davos, I delivered a speech dubbed The Canadian Opportunity, in which I encouraged the business community to invest in Canada and in Canadians. I highlighted Canada's actions to develop and attract global talent and support an economy based on innovation. 2 years later, investment is on the rise, and so is job creation. As we continue negotiations on NAFTA and look to keep the momentum going, I made clear that our commitment to reach an agreement that will benefit middle-class families in Canada, in the United States, and in Mexico will not waver. Ce n'est qu'un exemple de ce que ça veut dire défendre nos citoyens et leurs valeurs. Bien entendu, nous ne sommes pas les seuls à prendre des mesures concrètes et positives en vue de promouvoir l'égalité des sexes. À travers le monde, les gens mènent la lutte pour faire de notre monde un monde meilleur. Plus tôt aujourd'hui, j'ai eu le plaisir de participer à une table ronde avec Malala Yousafzai et Fabiola Gianotti, 2 voix fortes en faveur des droits des femmes. Nous savons que lorsque les femmes réussissent, les familles, les communautés et les pays en entier s'épanouissent. C'est pourquoi le Canada s'est engagé à verser 180 millions de dollars lors de la prochaine reconstitution des ressources du Partenariat mondial pour l'éducation. Ce financement témoigne de notre volonté d'aider les femmes et les filles à réaliser leur plein potentiel, et ce, partout dans le monde. Finally, I had the chance to meet with political and business leaders on the sidelines of the summit, including Chancellor Merkel, President Macri, Prime Ministers Gentiloni and Netanyahu, and the respective CEOs of ABB and UPS, to name a few. These conversations largely focused on delivering real results for Canadians and attracting jobs and investment to Canada and finding lasting solutions to the problems we all face. Overall, I'm pleased with the progress made during this summit and look forward to realizing our vision for a shared future. Once again, thank you all for joining us today. I'm now happy to take some questions.
Minister Trudeau, Mercedes Stevenson, CTV National News. Thank you for taking our questions. You just mentioned global leaders who are here. President Trump has arrived. You're not meeting with him. Why not?
People know that I have many opportunities to exchange on a regular basis with President Trump. We talk on the phone fairly regularly. We see each other at a broad range of international and local venues. when we're in Europe, each of us is focused on seeing folks we don't see nearly often enough, and we'll continue to make sure we have open lines of communication anytime we need them. Comme les gens savent, j'ai des échanges réguliers avec nos voisins, les Américains, avec le président Trump. Je le vois dans bien des sommets, on se parle régulièrement. Quand on est en Europe, je pense que c'est normal qu'on mette la priorité sur l'opportunité de voir des gens qu'on ne voit pas aussi souvent que moi et Donald.
Second question, more domestically focused, also in English and French if you could, sir. Could you give us your thoughts on the allegations brought against Patrick Brown today and his resignation in the wake of that as leader of the PC party?
As I've said many times, it's extremely important that we make absolutely clear that sexual harassment, sexual assault is unacceptable. We take these allegations extremely seriously whenever they come up. Obviously, my thoughts turn immediately to the women who came forward, knowing how difficult it can be, to salute them for their courage and their leadership, and certainly hope that their example will resonate, and that the support of their friends, their families, and the community at large remains with them. Comme les gens savent, je prends très au sérieux cet enjeu. Nous nous devons de comprendre qu'on doit changer notre approche en termes de société, en termes d'organisation, par rapport aux enjeux de harcèlement et d'assaut sexuel. C'est pour ça que mes pensées aujourd'hui sont pour ces jeunes femmes qui se sont mis de l'avant pour raconter leurs histoires, pour partager des expériences très difficiles. Et je veux les assurer du soutien évidemment de leurs amis, de leur communauté, mais aussi de tous les gens qui doivent comprendre que ce monde doit changer et que ça prend des femmes surtout et des hommes courageux pour prendre leurs responsabilités et partager leurs histoires.
Susan Lam with CBC, and again, if you could answer in both English and French. Yesterday, in your meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister, I'm wondering if Canada's abstention from the UN vote came up, and if so, what did you say?
We talked about a wide range of things. One of the great things about Davos is it's filled with opportunities to connect with and have conversations with folks that are important to Canada, and certainly the opportunity to sit down with Prime Minister Netanyahu and discuss a range of issues from peace and security in the Middle East, obviously, to areas of innovation and investment. And yes, I reiterated Canada's support for a two-state solution that will be reached through direct negotiation with the parties. Canada's long-standing position has not changed on that, and I assured him of the continuity of Canada's positions in that regard. Une des belles choses ici à Davos, c'est les opportunités qui surviennent d'échanger avec des gens avec qui le Canada a des conversations importantes. Évidemment, avec le premier ministre Netanyahu, j'ai été très content de parler de sécurité et d'enjeux au Proche-Orient. On a aussi évidemment parlé d'investissement et de tous les partenariats qui existent entre le Canada et l'Israël, y compris le travail qu'on est en train de faire pour moderniser l'accord de libre-échange avec l'Israël, entre l'Israël et le Canada. Et on a aussi réitéré notre appui pour une solution à deux États, arriver en négociation directe entre les deux parties et que la position du Canada demeure la même qu'elle est depuis longtemps.
An ATIP showed a couple of years ago that the trip cost the Canadian government about, I think, a little over $800,000. What concrete examples can you give to Canadians back home of the benefits of this trip, I guess, bang for their buck, if you will?
Obviously, any opportunity to promote Canadian interests and Canadian values on the world stage should be looked at seriously, and we're certainly very pleased with the kinds of conversations we've had, the kind of opportunities to advance Canadian interests, Canadian values, values that are shared largely around the world in a concrete and important way. But to mention more specific examples, 2 years ago I had my first meeting with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, and in the subsequent 2 years we've had many further conversations that have led to further investments by Microsoft, greater partnership on creating a better linkage between Seattle and Vancouver, for example, and we were happy to continue to build on that specific conversation here. There are many examples of conversations like that that have led to positive outcomes, whether it was the conversations with Mary Barra 2 years ago at GM that led to significant investments in engineering jobs in Markham, Ontario, whether it was conversations over the past 2 years with Jim Smith of Thomson Reuters that led to significant investments and moving of the Thomson Reuters headquarters back to Canada, to Toronto, which has created many jobs. The opportunities to engage with global investors and global leaders to make a strong case for Canada has contributed to the economic growth and the rise in investment over the past 2 years, and we're happy to be back to talk about our successes and build on more. En français? Il y a 2 ans, quand je suis venu à Davos, on a eu des conversations avec beaucoup d'investisseurs potentiels qui, par la suite, ont fait des investissements. Qu'on parle de Microsoft, qu'on parle de GM, qu'on parle d'IBM. On sait que les conversations qu'on a avec des leaders de multinationales à l'international et avec nos partenaires mènent à des bons emplois pour les Canadiens et de l'investissement qui fait croître l'économie. Mais par-dessus tout ça, l'opportunité de faire valoriser les intérêts et les préoccupations des Canadiens à l'échelle mondiale, de partager nos valeurs et de contribuer à des conversations sur comment le monde peut et doit s'améliorer, c'est des opportunités que les Canadiens comprennent bien sont importantes.
Bonjour, Fanny Olivier de Radio-Canada. Le partenariat transpacifique ouvre en quelque sorte une brèche dans le système de gestion de l'offre qu'on a au Canada. Je me demandais, est-ce qu'il va y avoir une compensation financière pour les producteurs laitiers?
D'abord, laissez-moi dire d'emblée que le Canada est un pays qui comprend à quel point le commerce international est important. Nous avons négocié avec succès l'accord avec l'Europe. On est en train de travailler très fort sur l'ALENA et on est très content d'avoir pu signer la nouvelle version du TPP, du PTP. Mais on comprend qu'en même temps, il faut toujours démontrer que c'est bon pour les travailleurs, c'est bon pour les différentes industries, que ça va créer de la croissance économique puis qui va bénéficier pas juste au pays, pas juste aux multinationales, mais aux travailleurs. Et c'est exactement pourquoi on ne pouvait pas tout simplement accepter ce que notre prédécesseur, Stephen Harper, avait négocié pour le Canada dans le TPP, qu'on a exigé des changements, des améliorations dans le domaine de propriété intellectuelle, dans le domaine de protection culturelle, qui sont extrêmement importants pour moi en tant que Québécois, mais aussi par rapport à différents enjeux. Par rapport à la gestion de l'offre, nous continuons de protéger la gestion de l'offre et nous allons toujours travailler comme on l'a fait avec la SCE, comme on le fait avec toute industrie qui a des préoccupations. On va travailler avec les gens qui ont des inquiétudes pour assurer qu'on avance de la bonne façon. The opportunity that Canada has to deepen its trade ties with the world is one that we take very seriously. We successfully improved and closed the deal on the Canada-Europe trade agreement, which is a progressive deal that is going to benefit workers and families right across Canada and across Europe. We're working very hard on ensuring that the improvements we're going to make to NAFTA benefit workers and ordinary folks in our 3 countries. And as we approach the TPP, we've been very clear that we expected to see that it would be a good deal for Canada, which was why we had a lot of difficulty simply accepting the deal that the previous government had negotiated on TPP, which didn't align with our priority to put the concerns of workers and citizens at the forefront of trade deals. I have to say the conversations were extremely productive, and again want to salute Prime Minister Abe for his leadership and his patience as we worked through this process, and we've gotten to a good place where I can say to Canadians and indeed to people around the world that progressive trade is possible, and that the CPTPP is an example of what can be done when countries come together to build better economic opportunities for themselves, for their neighbors, and for future generations. Obviously, with any trade deal, there's a need to understand the various impacts that it'll have on specific sectors, and we look forward, as we always will, to working with various sectors in Canada to ensure that the benefits of trade are shared and looked on as real opportunities.
Je comprends bien qu'il n'y a pas d'engagement financier à ce point-ci. Mon autre question concerne Wilbur Ross, qui a critiqué votre discours en disant que vous en étiez servi pour mettre de la pression sur les États-Unis dans le dossier de l'ALENA. Est-ce que c'est le cas?
Je dis depuis longtemps que ce que le Canada s'attend de l'ALENA, c'est un accord qui sera gagnant, gagnant, gagnant. Je dis depuis très longtemps que nous comprenons à quel point l'ALENA a été bon, oui, pour l'économie canadienne et les travailleurs canadiens, mais aussi a été très bon pour les travailleurs aux États-Unis, pour l'économie des États-Unis. Et je vais continuer de le répéter. Mais c'est rien de nouveau que de dire ça. Le vice-président Pence l'a dit lui-même, qu'il s'attendait à ce que ce soit gagnant, gagnant, gagnant. Et je parle souvent à des gouverneurs partout aux États-Unis qui me disent à quel point ça a été positif pour eux, pour leur État, des industries qui reconnaissent à quel point l'intégration a été bonne pour eux, pour leurs travailleurs. Et nous allons continuer de dire que l'échange commercial entre le Canada et les États-Unis est extrêmement positif pour nos pays, que l'ALENA l'a été et qu'on est très content de pouvoir travailler pour l'améliorer pour nous tous. I have been very consistent in talking about NAFTA, that it is a good deal for Canada, for the United States. It has been. It has created millions of jobs on both sides of the border and in Mexico over the years, and it has created economic growth on our continent that has been remarkable. Obviously, there are always opportunities to improve a deal that is close to 25 years old, and that's what we have undertaken diligently and responsibly. And our focus has consistently been on creating a deal that is good for Canada and for the United States and for Mexico and for the citizens and workers of all our three countries. And we know, furthermore, that that is eminently possible. We've continued to engage responsibly and constructively around the table, and quite frankly, I like to quote Vice President Pence, who laid it out clearly when he said he expects NAFTA to be a win-win-win. I know we are going to be able to get there, and I'm going to keep repeating that as often as I can, because so many jobs in Canada, in the United States, in our three countries, rely on the smooth flow of goods and services back and forth across our borders.
Prime Minister, in your speech on Tuesday and today, you've talked about corporate greed and the fact that companies shouldn't just pursue profits and forget about workers. A shining example of that is in Canada, where Sears has gone under. It's totally left its workforce without any pensions. Well, the executive team walked away with fat bonuses and very fat pensions. What are you going to do about it?
Canada continues to support people who are going through difficult times. Obviously, pensioners who face uncertainty need to be supported, need to be reassured, and that's why Canada has measures like the Canada Pension Plan, like EI benefits, like a broad range of ways that we can support people who are facing unexpected downturns or layoffs or a situation like happened with Sears Canada. We continue to look for ways we can support folks who are facing real financial difficulty, and we continue to expect that corporate responsibility and corporate behavior understands that the behaviors of the past that put profits before people simply cannot continue. We need to understand that benefits to shareholders, yes, but also benefits to communities, benefits to workers, benefits to all stakeholders in a company's success are an essential part to essential way of approaching the challenges we'll be facing in the future in a changing world.
So nothing's going to happen to Sears. Okay, let me ask you another question. Your ambassador in China said that because of the policies of the government of Canada are closer to the policies of the government of China than they are to U.S. policies, citing the environment, global warming, free trade. He went on to say, I believe that because of this political situation with Donald Trump, the Chinese are now more interested than before to do things with us. Your ambassador, I guess, has forgotten about the Canadians who are in jail in China on trumped-up charges. But I'd like to ask her, do you agree with your ambassador that Canada has a better friend with China than it is with the Trump administration?
I think, first of all, it's important to emphasize that John McCallum, our ambassador to China, has been unbelievably active on the human rights front and on the consular cases, and is engaging strongly and regularly on standing up for Canadians in jail in China, as we do elsewhere around the world. And we will always be very clear about our expectations on human rights towards Canadians and all people around the world. And I need to again commend John for his hard work on that, and it's something that I personally have taken an extreme interest in over the past years on consular cases around the world, perhaps because I spent so much time backpacking around the world throughout my life, knowing that the Canadian government is there for Canadians who experience difficulties is one of the core priorities of this government in terms of international engagement around the world. In regards to relations with a broad range of countries, our approach, my approach, Canada's approach, is always to look for common ground. Look for ways we can agree, ways we can collaborate, ways to work together. If we look for, we will always find areas of sharp disagreement and significant difference with any country around the world. But I know that fighting for the interests of Canadians, fighting for better jobs, creating greater economic opportunity, but also creating progress on the values that matter to Canadians requires us finding those elements of common ground. And on issues like the environment, on the issues around trade, we're always looking to work with significant countries like China that are showing initiative and leadership on that. Doesn't mean we're going to agree with them on everything, far from it. But it does mean we will always look for ways to work together. It's certainly what I do with the United States, it's what I do with China, it's what I do with countries around the world, and more importantly, it's what Canadians expect of me.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Mélanie Marquis de la presse canadienne. Ces 3 derniers jours, vous avez eu une quinzaine de rencontres bilatérales avec des chefs d'entreprise. Combien ont pris l'engagement ferme d'investir au Canada?
Je peux dire que je ne vais pas faire d'annonce maintenant, mais dans les semaines et les mois à venir, il va y avoir plusieurs annonces extrêmement positives qui vont découler pas juste des conversations ici à Davos, mais de l'engagement que nous avons envers des investisseurs et différentes compagnies à travers le monde. C'est toujours une occasion pour nous de souligner la croissance économique que le Canada est en train de vivre actuellement. On a la croissance économique la plus forte au sein du G7 présentement. On a le plus bas taux de chômage dans notre pays depuis plus que 40 ans. Et c'est quelque chose qui intéresse énormément les investisseurs à l'international. On va continuer de livrer sur notre engagement d'amener des nouveaux emplois et des opportunités pour les travailleurs canadiens par notre engagement international, et j'ai bien hâte aux annonces que nous allons faire dans les mois à venir.
Pendant votre rencontre bilatérale secrète avec le président israélien Benjamin Netanyahou, est-ce que le premier ministre vous a demandé de déménager l'ambassade canadienne à Jérusalem, de reconnaître Jérusalem comme capitale d'Israël? Et toujours au sujet de cette rencontre-là, comment se fait-il qu'elle n'ait pas été annoncée? Est-ce que ça vous embête d'être pris en photo à côté de M. Netanyahou?
Comme vous savez très bien, ici à Davos, il y a toujours des opportunités qui surviennent d'avoir des rencontres avec différents leaders, différents gens qui sont importants pour le Canada. Et j'ai été très, très content de pouvoir m'asseoir avec Benjamin pour parler des enjeux qui nous préoccupaient. Comme j'ai dit, on a parlé de sécurité, on a parlé d'investissement et de partenariat et d'échanges commerciaux, d'échanges commerciaux avec le Canada, mais on n'a pas parlé de l'ambassade.
Le statut comme capitaine?
On n'a pas parlé, non. On n'a pas parlé de ça.
Pourquoi est-ce que ça n'a pas été annoncé, la rencontre?
Il y a plein de rencontres qu'on fait et je vais continuer de les faire, même si ça arrive des fois un peu à l'imprévu.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. David Aiken, Global News. In your speech just a few minutes ago, you have challenged governments, corporations, and others to do more to prevent sexual harassment. You referred to the Me Too hashtags, the Time's Up hashtags, the whole idea that women should speak up. Who speak up should be believed. Well, sir, some women are speaking up about your Sport and Disabilities Minister, Kent Harris, saying that he made unwanted comments about their bodies and that during his time in the Alberta legislature, some female political staff would not get in an elevator with him because he made them feel uncomfortable. So if we believe these women, what do you do about Minister Hare?
Obviously, as I've said many times throughout this week, it's really important to believe and support any woman who comes forward with allegations of sexual harassment or sexual assault. And that's exactly what my government and myself, we do. I don't need to remind anyone of the positions I've taken from the very beginning of my leadership on issues surrounding this. I am unequivocal in my support for women who step forward with allegations of this nature, and that continues. I haven't yet had the opportunity to speak directly with Kent. I will in the coming hours, and we will have more to say before the plane lifts off tonight. Comme les gens savent très bien, nous avons, et moi personnellement, je n'ai aucune tolérance par rapport à des enjeux d'harcèlement ou d'assaut sexuel. Et c'est pourquoi que nous avons pris les actions au fil des années que nous avons prises et que je répète toujours que c'est important de croire et d'appuyer des femmes qui s'avancent avec de telles allégations. Je n'ai pas encore eu l'opportunité de parler directement avec Kent. Je vais le faire dans les prochaines heures et on va avoir plus à dire ce soir.
And something a bit more whimsical here. Klaus Schwab, when he had his opening press conference, said that having the American president here was, quote, indispensable. I wonder if you would agree with Professor Schwab, and given you're the world leader who's probably had more interaction than any other with President Trump, and given that you're committed to the liberal international order like most here at Davos, what do you think that the Davos crowd can learn from President Trump when they meet him here and hear him tomorrow?
It won't surprise you to hear that one of the things I believe fundamentally is that diversity is a source of strength, that different perspectives, different views should be listened to and understood and included in the way we figure out the right path forward as countries, as corporations and organizations, and indeed as a world. I think the opportunity to convene different perspectives here at this conference is really important, and like everyone, I look forward to seeing what the President has to say in his speech tomorrow. Comme vous savez très bien, je crois que la diversité, c'est une force pour nos organisations, pour nos pays et pour notre monde. Alors, l'opportunité de rassembler des gens de perspectives différentes, qui ont des approches différentes sur des enjeux qui nous sont familiers à travers le monde, c'est une bonne chose. J'ai, comme tout le monde, hâte de voir quel discours et quelle contribution le président va offrir quand il fait son allocution demain. Je pense que c'est important de s'écouter, de se comprendre et de parler sur comment nous allons s'engager pour améliorer les problèmes auxquels on fait face dans nos pays et dans le monde.
Two last questions here. Karina Roman, CBC News. With all due respect, in terms of the example that a colleague of mine put forward with the Sears employees and corporate responsibility, how are corporations going to take you or anyone seriously about taking responsibility if the only solution for the workers is to go on unemployment benefits and hope to get a little bit of a pension out of the CPP? That doesn't seem like the solution or any kind of repercussion.
No. Obviously, there's an extraordinary amount of sympathy and compassion we have for people who face layoffs, who are put in a difficult position like this, and as a government we look very carefully not just at supporting those people but at recognizing that with the changing nature of work, the changing nature of the global economy, we need to do a better job of ensuring that people are supported, that people are offered opportunities to continue to contribute, to continue to succeed, depending on their own choices and their abilities. This is something that doesn't have any easy answers, but certainly we will approach supporting people with the same sense of responsibility and compassion that Canadians expect of us.
And on President Trump's attendance here, one of the things that the World Economic Forum talks about is improving the state of the world. And there's been a lot of talk about collaboration and working together and trying to come together in a fractured world. How can that goal happen in terms of improving the world when you have the United States rowing in a completely different direction than most other nations?
As I've said, I look forward to hearing what the President has to say tomorrow.
That's it?
Okay. Last question, please.
Keith Bradshaw, New York Times. Does the Trans-Pacific Partnership 11 represent an alternative or the nucleus of an alternative to China's Beijing-centered Belt and Road Initiative? Thank you.
I think, as I was listening, I was wondering whether you were going to propose it was an alternative to NAFTA. I mean, there's always different ways of looking at trade deals and the opportunities that come by them, but I think each one has to be looked at as on its own merits and as significant, if incremental, steps towards better global trade that supports everyone, that focuses on workers, supports small businesses and economic opportunities throughout the countries that are involved. There is no one fix or one way to approach the shifting global economy that is going to be the answer. There are only opportunities to roll up our sleeves, work together, try and reduce barriers and create opportunities as we move forward. I'm very pleased that we're able to move forward on the CPTPP in a way that will benefit Canadian workers, but also create benefits for all our partner countries and their citizens. That is something that is in and of itself an excellent achievement as we look at next steps on how we engage with China, on how we continue to stand up for Canadian interests in NAFTA, as we look at other potential trade deals around the world, and more are to come. It is all a part of demonstrating that trade can be progressive, can be of benefit to ordinary people and not just to multinationals or to the wealthiest. That's a message that we need to work hard to demonstrate every single day, and that's certainly what we're looking at doing with the TPP and other examples.
Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very much.